a freshman in college.
This narration is a lot better than the one Kazuya gives in episode 1, because this is all the information that Sumi wouldn't be able to give throughout the episode, because the point of the episode is that she struggles to talk. So having her deliver some necessary exposition about her character is actually kind of a good idea.
Sometimes they choose me specifically, and sometimes it's a random assignment.
Why the hell would that be a feature of this business? Think about it like this. Imagine you go to a burger joint and you go to them, surprise me, and they put out something you're allergic to. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Of course, if someone goes to a burger place, they'd order a burger they want. Similarly, if someone goes to the service, they would pick the girl that best suits what they're desiring. So having random assignments would be idiotic.
I hate myself when I'm in girlfriend mode.
This is confusing because Sumi's problem at the moment is that she's getting complaints for not living up to the standard of the agency, and we see she's never putting on an act, so I really don't know what she's talking about here.
We're the same age, but she's way smarter and prettier, and she can talk about her dreams without hesitation.
That being said, I also do like how they have Sumi describe Chizuru this way, because it does show her anxieties about herself in kind of a subtle way, by having her put someone else on a pedestal, so she shows she has a lot less self-esteem.
Oh, hi, you must be Sumi, the new girl I'm supposed to meet. My name's Kazuya.
That has got to be his most natural introduction in the whole show. That's just weird, man. I mean, it's good weird, but still, it's weird how he's just so much more socially intelligent in this episode than he is in the rest of the season. Alright, this is really goddamn contrived. Again, if Mommy doesn't happen to be at this spot at this time, then she never finds out about Chizuru's job as a rental. But to be fair, this isn't the worst contrivance for 3 reasons. 1, since it is kind of stupid how lucky Kazuya was to never get spotted on any dates with Ruka. 2, the season finale of season 1 literally has no consequences on anything moving forward, so therefore this contrivance doesn't have much of an impact on the future. And 3, this episode does make up for it. Although, in and of itself, this doesn't make much sense that her seeing Kazuya just walking around with some girl would mean anything. What, can he not have female friends, Mommy? Was that not allowed in your relationship? It's kind of fucked up.
And still, she can't talk or smile. It's sad, but the truth is, she's just not fit to be a rental girlfriend!
Not only do I think this is actually a fair conclusion for him to come to, but it actually sets up for his one arc in this season, so I'm happy.
I'll do the best I can, okay? I'll try to live up to your expectations!
This moment's really good, since this actually shows the downside of Chizuru explaining the point of why she chose him to do it instead of someone else, since it puts a lot of pressure on him. So, this show understanding consequences of someone's actions is pretty nice.
She's not very stacked, but her legs, they're long and slender.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. I personally don't consider this massive ramble about the girl's appearance to be strictly necessary, but I guess the writers think padding this time makes some sense.
It's not like I'm saying you could never do it, but I think even you must realize it's not really such a great fit for someone like you.
These are the kind of moments in this episode that make you almost think that they're gonna revamp Kazuya's character, because they show him work out that Sumi's never been bowling, as well as a good way to ask her why she decided to do this job without hurting her feelings, though he does squander it with his next line. But even still, that seems to be a lot better than what he normally does, but it's just a shame that this essentially new version of Kazuya only shows up in the Sumi episodes, not permanently.
Charades?
I also like how this game of charades that they play now is setting up the text communication and the fact that she develops a better method of communicating when she's nervous after this doesn't work as well.
It's really sweet of Mizuhara to not give up on Sumi, but this level of shyness is not something you can just fix.
Wow, I don't believe it. Kazuya is shown to be more perceptive than Chizuru in the fact that he gathers that you can't just get someone to change right away just because you want them to. Nice work for him. And from her, it wasn't like the worst thing in the world, so this is just a good moment.
No, I can't just wimp out and hide. I'd never be able to face Mizuhara.
This is what I mean. He understands that it isn't a good idea to rock up on guys like that if you're claiming to be her boyfriend, but on the other hand, the reason he's here in the first place is because Chizuru knows him, so it would be undoubtedly a foolish idea since it would get back to her if he pushed out. So we get the rare occurrence of Kazuya doing what he needs to do himself, which I do appreciate because it makes his other moments of cowardice in this episode feel more impactful instead of run-of-the-mill. Shame the whole show doesn't strike the balance this well.
You guys need something? We were just leaving.
Weird how, in this situation, normally he would be really stressed out, but here he's pretty cool, calm, and collected, which clearly points more to a change in writing direction than the actual situation. But I do like that his confidence in helping her out here is the thing that makes her come out of her shell a little to him.
And I'm sorry about those guys saying all of that to you.
As well, this is a really good moment to show her coming out of her shell, and again, the fact Sumi actually has an arc is really good for making her more compelling than a lot of the other characters in the show.
Well, I think it's cool how in the first scene we saw her reach out for a client and then pull back into her shell, but here she actually goes to hold his hand and keeps it, so it shows she's made real progress. Nice job using the visuals to actually set up an arc. Well done.
Step forward.
So a couple things about Mommy being behind that pillar. One, how much of that did she hear? Like, I know he didn't say rental, but still, it isn't as if he didn't imply there's something different about their relationship. And besides that, the fact that he says to her, I'm used to walking around with a top-class girl in my arms, would mean that Sumi would be 100% aware of Kazuya and Chizuru's relationship if it was real, which meant that Mommy thinks he's two-timing. It seems weird, since why would Sumi be fine with it and Chizuru not be? And why does the show love having characters just stalk people and get no consequences? Like, am I missing something? Is it not a crime in this world?
Is she serious?
And here we have him getting back to just being an idiot. Like, it isn't that weird, bro. People do it all the time. Like, yeah, it is technically a French kiss, but that's like saying sitting on a toilet is basically getting anal. Like, chill out, bro. You don't want to make her uncomfortable.
Looks like I must have hit my nose. Let me go wash it off.
I mean, I would call this a pretty good way to send him off for a bit. Now, granted, I might just think that because I have a history of completely random blood noses, but it is the kind of thing you need to tend to right away, and isn't that illogical that it would just randomly happen, because, you know, that's what blood noses do, so it makes it feel less contrived.
So, how did she manage to get a seat at the table? I mean, there's tons of empty tables and frames, so how did she just manage to sit down here and convince Sumi to let her do it? And before someone tries to cite the Sumi manga, one, using external material to justify stupid holes in the story isn't that great, especially because that means that even the creator knew this was a stupid moment. But secondly, if you go off the Sumi manga as if it's just part of this anime, then it actually begs two extra questions, because you might notice that, one, she introduces herself in that manga, yet she does it in the scene, but furthermore, in that scene she says she knows him, but then doesn't say why until right now. So, Sumi manga, if you use it, answers one question, begs two more, because, you know, that's what happens when you use the same creator to justify things.
Mommy Nanami, this is Sumi Sakurasawa.
This is such a contrived line, because one, who the hell introduces people by their full names instead of just first name? And two, the fact he decides to use her full name instead of just her first name is the reason Mami finds out about the rental girlfriend thing. Like, this episode does have some strong points, but moments like this really show you that this is still Rent-A-Girlfriend.
Think I'm cheating on Mizuhara? Do I say she's just a friend? Or grew up in the same neighborhood, maybe?
Though I do really like Kazuya's monologue here, because he shows that he's aware of not only the fact that he still has to keep the fact she's a rental, but he can't just say she's his real girlfriend, because he already went for that play with Chizuru, so he's kind of stuffed, and you can see him going through all the options in his head. It's unfortunate for him that Sumi doesn't understand the situation and follows his plan, but that's a good moment from both of them, essentially, which makes the scene a lot better, except for the freaking full name line.
Does Chizuru know you're dating this girl?
Huh? No. She doesn't know.
How did he not say yes? She quite literally does know, because it was her idea. So if Mami were to ask her, then she could actually back it up. But here's the thing about that, is they don't have contact info, so they could still do the reveal the same by just having him say yes earnestly, and then her in the later scene looking up Chizuru Mizuhara, and then getting the page. That would be better.
I can't speak for all introverts, but I think There's no reason you can't find work as a rental girlfriend.
Yeah, this is an awesome moment. I like how he got to know Sumi better. He realized that, while on the surface she might be unsuited for the job, inside she really does have what it takes, which is a genuinely good moment, and they have it play into what Chizuru said at the start of the episode, making it feel like we came full circle, and it shows that both Sumi and Kazuya have changed from this experience, which is also great work for R.A.G.
Kazuya!
Huh?
See you later.
Well, so this simple line from Sumi is so good for showing how she's changed from this entire experience. Again, showing that she came full circle throughout the episode, which is also really nice. Also, Suzy Young does a great delivery here.
That's why I just picked whoever was convenient. I didn't care who he was.
That still doesn't make any sense, though. Like, I get you just want to date around and don't actually care who he was, but if you cared about him that little, why didn't you date literally anyone else that was more your speed, instead of dating a guy you clearly never wanted to? This is such a bizarre line, and again, the writers think it explains something, but it's so bad at its job that it doesn't answer anything, and just inserts more questions, like, why was he the most convenient guy? Why did she need to date him in the first place? Was there someone else she preferred to date that was in the friend group? Clearly not, since she hasn't dated anyone else in this friend group. You know what I mean? There's just so many questions posed by this simple, stupid line.
But now he's two-timing. Him, of all people.
What I don't get is, why wouldn't they have a visual for both girls? Like, there is a hidden word in the phrase two-timing, and it's the word two. Like, I know Sumi is the most recent, but you had the same jealousy over Chizuru for Mami, and it would be nice to emphasize the jealousy with a visual including them both, and the fact that they decided not to shows quite a bit of laziness.
I think her name was Sumi Sakurasawa.
There it is! That's why him saying Sumi's full name is so goddamn stupid, because if he had just said, Mami meets Sumi, then she wouldn't have been able to find out on social media, since it is, from what I can tell, a relatively popular name in Japan. Although, considering Mami's going to rent Chizuru next episode, I, again, think it would be better if they set it up so Mami looked up Chizuru's name. Because, as well, the only rental page she shows in that episode is Chizuru.
You have my permission for poon time with Chizuru.
Didn't need it, but thanks.
Another moment that shows the writers in the latter half don't really understand the first half. Like, the point of him giving permission is that in episodes 2 and 3, Kuri and Kibe expressly forbade him from having sex with Chizuru. So this moment is Kibe effectively saying that they've been going out long enough for them to do it. And so Kazuya saying, oh, I don't need your permission, makes it so this isn't a good moment. And if he said thanks or appreciate it, then you would think that this was a good reference.
A wood chip?
Fucking wood chips? Like, you know he has a fucking doorbell, right? Or you could send a letter again, or literally a million other methods more effective than throwing wood chips at his window. Like, that would actually be annoying for you and your neighbors, because that would make noise. The neighbors wouldn't actually know what the purpose was, and there wouldn't be a guarantee he'd show up, unlike a letter or a doorbell.
If only I could tell Mizuhara. She's the one I really want. But I have no right to tell her that.
Also, it's annoying to me how he comes to the right conclusion that he has no right or reason to tell Chizuru she's the one he really wants, and then decides to do it next episode for really no discernible reason. But again, we'll get there when we get there. Overall, while the stuff with Mami in this episode is really shit, Kazuya and Sumi have a really good dynamic in this episode, which continues for the rest of the show, and Kazuya in this episode is a way better character, with this time him being a pervert that actually has some empathy and critical thinking skills, which, while it isn't the most enjoyable protagonist, at least it's pretty standard for this genre, so I can definitely suck it up. This is definitely one of the best episodes of the show, and while it isn't perfect, if the entire show was this quality, there was no way I would have made a series called Science of a Shit Show for it. But alas, while the writers really managed to fluke a good few episodes, they've had 8 flops and 3 okay ones, so we're not really batting too well. And just because I like this one doesn't really make the season much better. That being said, we still have one more in this season, and then a season wrap-up. See you for the final episode of Rent-A-Girlfriend Season 1.